Just how big is the most fantastic weekend of drag racing ever to come to Edmonton?
That was the call that brought thousands of race fans to the drags during the early days. Drag racing started in Edmonton during the early 60s, and with the creation of a brand new facility, Edmonton International Speedway, it became a huge hit with fans.
I raced a black 61 Chevrolet bubble top. I owned it at that time, and it ran 16.2.
The 70s was a time of great prosperity for the sport. Record crowds and record times caught the imagination of this young city. It even spawned a Hollywood movie, filmed directly at Speedway by a young director by the name of David Cronenberg.
You get a little too much wheel spin off the line. Take it easy when you drop the hammer next time, Billy boy.
Oh, Speedway Park was a big hit back then. You know, there wasn't the other things to do at the time. There wasn't as much golf. The Oilers weren't here. There was no baseball. So drag racing was a huge thing, huge sport back then, thing to do.
It seemed that the good times were still to come for Speedway, at least until the early 80s. In 1983, the city of Edmonton zoned the land that Speedway was sitting on. Drag racers didn't spend the next 10 years looking for a home for their sport.
There was a lot of, unhappy guys, race cars that were parked, but the business in the city just dropped. The high performance business really took a kicking.
Well, there's always the disappointment because then you have to travel, and that's when I quit drag racing, was when they shut down Speedway Park. I guess it was, 83, I think. I got out of it till 91. It's just, at the time, other things came up, and it was just the travel.
In 1991, plans were finalized for a new facility south of Edmonton by Nisku. The new track went through some growing pains in the first 10 years, and after a succession of owners, the track finally settled on the name Castro Raceway.
I decided back then to get back into drag racing. So for the first year, we started in 91 was our first year. So we had to travel to Calgary and Saskatoon. But it was great that we were going to have a track at home.
In 2003, Big League Drag Racing finally returned to town with the inception of the International Hot Rod Association's Rocky Mountain Nationals. The big names finally came back to Edmonton.
It's revitalized the racetrack itself, because they made them level it, and the fans. I mean, they pack them in there like crazy.
Fabulous. I think it's one of the best things that's ever happened to the city, and I mean, you can see by how it sells out.
Drag racing in Edmonton has gone through some very turbulent times, but the fans are what keep it alive.
They were great. They were really, really good.
The one thing I think that we have now is the fans have more things to do, and they're busier. They're a lot busier. It's a busier lifestyle than what there was back in the Speedway Park days, but they're possibly, in fact, I think probably more educated now because of TV. They've seen it on TV. There's more magazines and that. So the fans of today are probably a little more educated about funny cars and drag racing than what they possibly were back in the Speedway Park days.
Kellen Kennedy, Nate News.